Well, hello, and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. Hopefully my internet actually lets me upload these darn videos on time. But anyway, enough of me complaining about personal things. We're going to talk about a real weird one here. One that I've had on the channel before, but I haven't done a full proper review and teardown of this guy here. This is the TS157, and I think technically the whole model number of it was the TS157-D2. However, there hasn't been any other versions of it. So, yeah, there we go. This guy, we can see we have yellow orangish, maybe kind of a mandarin kind of color. For the G10 there, it is a peel ply texture, so it does give you a decent amount of grip. Quite a bit like Spyderco's kind of grip there. Not super intense like Cold Steel and Emerson seem to do. It's a little bit more of a compromise, so much less destructive to pockets over time and stuff like that. Pretty good. And we have full titanium. I'm going to call that a subframe because those are definitely thicker than I would consider most liners to be. And then of course we have a titanium backspacer here that comes out to an enormous lanyard loop. The thing that's very weird and different about this guy is that the pocket clip is on the what a lot of people call the show side or whatever. It's on the left side of the knife there rather than on the right. And down here, which is how most newer pocket knives are done. Quite a bit of early pocket clips done on knives that weren't done from Spyderco. Ended up having tip down kind of carry, and this one is doing it as well. And I think there's a couple of different reasons for it, and I'll kind of get into those a bit. But in the meantime, what if we go ahead and open this guy up? We got really nice action on this guy. We have a nice factory stonewash finish on this one. Like I said, this guy's in D2 steel, as we can see here. Unfortunately, we don't have a great amount of access to the frame lock in here. We do have a bit of a scalloped out portion, but it's really high up. A little bit higher than some people would probably be used to, because this thing does come up and curve over quite a bit. The other thing about it is that it does kind of have a bit of a late sort of thing to get fully over that detent ramp. It does have a ramp on it, so it does feel nice and smooth, but it starts to engage with the blade here, and then it takes basically to about there, which is definitely after where your thumb would be coming into contact with it if you were to try to disengage it just using that little area up there. Still, with that, I don't have too much of a problem, but you would definitely with gloves, kind of disengaging it past that point. So, yeah, that's something that might irritate somebody a little bit until they get a little bit more used to the knife overall. Does have a bit of a weight to it. We got 4.77 ounces or 135 grams. I mean, this is not a small knife, though. We got 3.79 inches between the butt end of the handle there and the tip, which is we have a very gradual recurve kind of going on here, and then a bit more of a curve up, almost like a Japanese tanto-ish kind of thing, but it's a very long arc there rather than the smaller ones that you would usually see. For that blade length, for the metrically inclined, that's 96.3 millimeters or 9.63 centimeters, whatever. I like millimeters for it, but it's easy enough to convert. You just move that decimal point around, so, whatever. 3.8 millimeter blade stock thickness on this guy. So it's fairly thick, not the thickest that TwoSun does. But the geometry on it is quite nice. So all of that's good. The plunge grind on this, as we can see, not the best. We can see that it ends kind of where my fingernail is, well up into the blade, which, yeah, as we can see, yeah, I've started to do a little bit of a smile on there, and it's just going to continue to get worse with time. Wong is usually a little bit better about plunge grinds than what ended up happening on this. I don't know if there was a difference in design or ease of manufacture between his design and what TwoSun did, or if it's just something that he kind of dropped the ball on. Not super sure on that one here. The ergonomics on this thing are great. It might look like this is very much not a neutral handle, and it curves down quite a bit down here, but it doesn't feel like I'm constrained. I can easily move back, and I still have a lot of power with my, my pinky or those fingers there for actually providing a lot of that power and everything like that. No worry about slipping out or anything. But I suppose if I did, it's still fairly comfortable if I wanted to get a bit more reach on the blade. And a pinch grip ends up working out all right. That pocket clip doesn't really feel like it gets in the way. It is there, but generally you're not doing a lot of crazy powerful cuts when you're doing a pinch grip like that. You might with a chest lever grip, which is almost kind of a like a paring grip or something like that. That I can say this knife is not designed for. So if you really do like to, hold something in your hand here and kind of get a lot of leverage by having that close to your chest or something like that, like you'll see some folks do for some wood carving, especially if they're making like tent pegs or something like that. If they're doing some bushcraft sort of stuff, this is definitely not the design for that. But for a lot of other things, yeah, it ends up working out all right. The jumping up here is decently sharp. Really ends up holding on to my thumb skin, so I feel all sorts of confident in my grip there. And because that pocket clip isn't back here and down here, this ends up having a lot of comfort that people who don't really experience a lot of fixed blades and using them on a constant basis probably kind of miss a little bit, or at least unaware that they can use a knife that doesn't have an uncomfortable point there that they just kind of have to deal with. Obviously some are done better than others, but this area here definitely keeps it out of the way. But this does come into a strange conundrum of, well, the pocket clip that most people end up preferring is right here, whereas this one is opposite side and opposite end. So what I kind of figure with this guy is it's something that's being carried above the waist, probably on like a vest or something like that, whether tactically inclined or search and rescue, that sort of thing. That way, and having the knife not be inside a pouch, but kind of on the outside sort of thing. That way, it makes it really easy for you to pluck it out of what you're doing, and it's already in position there. So it's a little bit different purpose sort of thing than what I would consider for a lot of EDC tasks. However, that being said, if you want to carry this in your offhand, or if you're left-handed or whatever and you don't mind having tip down, it ends up working out all right for you as well. And this is like one of the very few that that TwoSun offers that actually has the pocket clip available on the left side. It's unfortunate that you can't swap it to the other side, but hey, it's at least there for the very few folks that TwoSun ends up trying to cater to. So there you go. The pocket clip by itself, it is titanium milled. Ends up working out all right. Has a decent amount of flex to it. It's nice and strong, being kind of captured by the pivot and all of that sort of stuff there. It's a pretty fun knife overall. The shape of it, y'all know I don't generally get a huge amount of usefulness out of a lot of Tonto and modified Tonto kind of blade shapes. But yeah, this thing ends up working out all right. It has a lot of penetrating power, and the tip doesn't get supremely thin behind that edge there. It's not the full thickness thick like you would see on some cold steel style American Tontos and stuff like that, but still a whole lot of piercing power. And yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it does kind of feel, for the most part, like you're dealing with a much more standard sweeping kind of straight back knife. Not necessarily a drop point or something like that, but it does have a decent amount of sliceability kind of going on with that blade. And then if you do want to get a bit more power beyond there, like I said earlier, this thing feels amazing, and you don't really have any hot spots from a clip as long as you're, right-handed. If you're left-handed with that, that clip is going to get in the way for that. But a Gorilla Grip, that hammer style grip, really pushing through material, ends up working out really well for that. Yeah. So let's go through a couple of other measurements here that I missed. It is 0.61 of an inch thick, so a little bit thicker than a Spyderco PM2 and stuff, which is just a touch over half an inch. That'll be 15.5 millimeters thick. And yeah, it looks like I covered all the rest of it here. So let's go ahead and do some blade size comparisons. Since this guy is actually quite big, I'll go ahead and pull out the Manix 2 XL. This, on paper, should be my favorite version of it, but I think I'm still happier with my original black G10 and S30V version, unfortunately. But yeah, here we go. There's the Spyderco PM2. That's of course the purple one in Crewwear steel. I think it was a DLC trading exclusive, but they've of course done a micarta version with Crewwear. That's probably going to be a little bit more popular with more folks, even though the grip on it's going to be quite a bit different. This is probably, I think the parent or the actual full size Spyderco military would be a little bit larger than it, but still within that same kind of realm of size here. Speaking of, here we go with the Endura. Of course, that's all sorts of fun and large. Here we go with the Benchmade Griptilian, which is yeah, it's a bit smaller. Quite a bit more stout as far as blade grind and everything like that on these guys too. Moving along, we got the Benchmade 940. Sure, I suppose I can pull out the bug out that I've changed with some titanium handles. It's of course going to be much smaller, but that'll help you with some size comparisons. So there you go. Alright, the Ontario Rat number 1, which is a little bit smaller, which is definitely saying something, because that is not a small knife. And then we got the Civivi Elementum, all sorts of fun stuff there. Of course, this knife is known for being small, not necessarily in a competition with this sort of thing here. But yeah, really interesting. Has some pretty good blade geometry and stuff like that, but very interesting choice that maybe turn some folks off or alienate them from this particular design. But still, it ends up working out quite well. And yeah, just checking my notes. I don't really think I missed anything there. So as we do with pretty much all the rest of these guys, I'm going to go ahead and open this guy up so we can see on the inside of there. If that's not something you're super interested in, well, you got some time back and you can go doing that with anything else that's probably a little bit more important to you or, more interesting for you. But yeah, for the rest of us, let's go ahead and unscrew this monstrosity here. We have T8 construction all the way around. Yeah, there we go. We have onlays, definitely saving some money on construction there rather than milling out some channels here on the inside. There we go. And then, yep, we got the bearing race. That one actually came off on me as I was dealing with it. And we got their standard ceramic bearings in the nylon cages. And we can see, yeah, they did do a little bit of weight relieving on both sides here. So that's kind of nice to see, especially since it's flat slab on the other side. Otherwise, this thing would probably be pushing well over 5 ounces rather than the 4.77 ounces that it is. And then we get the stop pin here for it. So it's not internal to the blade, which can be preferable for a lot of circumstances, but isn't absolutely necessary. This is kind of one of their newer designs, as we could probably tell by the fact that this knife is in D2 rather than 14C28N. So that D-shaped pivot is captured on the show side rather than the lock bar side, which their older knives would do, which made them a little bit more challenging to kind of put back together. So there we go with that. There's the other guy there, the bearing race, which, no, it didn't, but I assumed it was going to try to fall out on me. Move the knife just a little bit so we can, yep, get all that in there. I probably shouldn't have closed it yet, but hey, I did. Yep, that was an absolutely large mistake that I should not have made. So, alright, yep. That's basically where it needs to be, so I can get the G10 on there so that we can try to keep my hand out of the way here. Now, some people don't appreciate wrist cams, so if they can see a little bit more, that's probably for the best. There we go. One thing that might be a little annoying with the construction, which shouldn't be if your knife hasn't suffered any trauma or anything like that, is if you do need to remove that pocket clip to say bend it back into place if it's snagged on something or other, you have to fully remove the pivot of the knife, which means the knife is going to come out as well, which is a little bit less convenient than this just taking a screw or two out to be able to remove and adjust that pocket clip there. But we can see where that pin is in the very bottom here. It's right by the flipper underneath there. So if you want to cut any amount of a finger choil or sharpening choil to kind of prevent what that was doing, absolutely nothing stopping you from it, because that stop pin interacts on the other side of the flipper tab. So, that's nice. Overall, it is a very odd one, but one that's kind of fun for me to carry sometimes. Especially, I do kind of like carrying this in a front shirt pocket if I'm not actually carrying my phone in that kind of location, which is what I'm mostly used to. But yeah, it's quite nice, quite comfortable. A whole bunch of grip, a lot of comfort there from not having any kind of pocket clip on that right side there for doing a lot of different grips for it. Decent geometry for it. The plunger end could be much better on it, unfortunately. And yeah, the lock bar sort of situation might have been just a little bit better, just with trying to deal with getting over that detent ramp. But overall, a really interesting knife. Probably not going to be anyone's absolute favorite EDC knife, but still, something that's nice and different for the collection. So, alrighty, that is everything I wanted to cover here with the TS157. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe, please.